Jamie, you guys went through all the lawsuits and you looked through all the data and you found that a lot of the deaths were linked to young kids, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds who got their first car, and it wasn't quite clear what prompted the accident. And now that there's this ignition switch debacle, people are connecting the dots.
That's right. You know, it's a very traumatic incident when you're driving down the road and your car were to suddenly shut off. There was, in one of the cases, there was some testimony. One of the engineers had tried this himself. He could make his car shut off, and he did it in his neighborhood and was able to pull it over safely. But that was somebody who'd been driving longer than some of these customers, some of these drivers had even been alive. You know, a lot of pretty new drivers, people in their teens, and they're driving, especially then if you add in other factors. In some cases, there was drinking involved, or it was at night. But when you're, you know, a teenager, you're just much less capable to respond to something that, you know, tricky and unpredictable.
Jamie, as you know, it's an interesting calculus with correlation and causation. Was this just because they were cheap cars and that's what young kids buy?
Yeah. It's because that's, and let's be honest, most of these aren't the kids buying them. These are parents.
Yeah.
You know, these are middle-class families who already have maybe a pickup and a minivan, and now they've got a kid who's in high school or going off to college, and they're going to help them buy. They want them to have a new car so that it's safe and it has all the latest technology. Yeah. Yep. And it's small, fuel efficient.
Right. Well, this connection is certainly tragic.
And then a lot of them stuck around. As they stuck around as used cars, they stayed, you know, as entry-level cars. They're cars that you buy for your kid.
Jamie, as tragic as this all is, let's not forget that General Motors got its bailout, its federal bailout in 2009, which means the company doesn't have to respond to legal claims filed before 2009. So this is certainly disturbing, but the company is not necessarily liable for things that happened before then. Is that correct?
That's right. They're not liable for the crashes that happened before then. They are liable for those that came since. GM has said they're going to take care of their customers. They don't want to go beyond that. It's sort of, you know, Jeff Green has really pressed them on this, and it looks like their intention is, you know, they know that they have to take care of these people because it's the right thing to do. I would say, you know, it seems to me that, you know, they're not putting down their shield, though. They don't want to just open up, you know, to everything, but they've indicated that they're going to accept some of that liability. What it will cost them, you know, what it will cost the shareholders off the balance sheet would presumably be a lot less than the, you know, cost in public image of telling, you know, families, oh, sorry, we don't need to pay you, so we're not going to.
You know,
they could do that, but
one of the curious subtexts here, Jamie, it looks like, at least to the outside world, maybe you can comment on this, that GM effectively circling the wagon, saying it's going to pull its Opel division from China to effectively focus Opel on Europe, and maybe that means here on the U.S. What other signs do you have that GM is circling the wagons and trying to get its act together?
Well, I wouldn't expect Opel to come to the U.S. What we're seeing is a carving up of the global markets between Opel and Chevrolet. GM's decided to keep Opel, and instead of having Chevy move into Europe and try to take a low end in the market and Opel try to find a higher position, they're really just letting Opel be Opel as a European brand, try to compete better against Volkswagen and give it the opportunity to go down market there.
Right.
When you look at China, I mean, the government in China, they know that these brands are all in the same company. I mean, they won't even let Subaru invest in China because they see it as part of Toyota. So letting Opel back out of China gives more headroom for Chevy, which is really what they're playing. The Manchester United sponsorship was not about winning Chevy converts in the UK. It was about China.
Right.
And that's where they really want to play, and that's where they're really trying to grow.